Okay, so once you open up AutoCAD, what we want to do now is we want to start a new file. And what you're going to do is you're going to go up to File and you're going to click on New. When you do that, AutoCAD is going to prompt you to select a template. And so all you want to do is just select kind of that standard ACAD template. That's going to be an inch template that AutoCAD kind of sets up for us. So I have that selected here and I'm just going to hit Open. Okay. Now, when I open up this template, you're going to notice that as far as layers, the only layer that's here is the 0 layer, okay? We're going to set up some new layers so that we can use those for our files. Now, if you had me for tech drafting, we set up like, I want to say 6, 8 different layers. We're not going to go that crazy. Remember, this is for layout work only. So I think I'm going to do about 3 layers. That's going to be it. Okay, that's all we need. So the first layer we're going to do is going to be our object line layer. So we're going to click on the layer properties, which is just to the left of the layers here. We're going to left click on the 0 layer just to activate it, but then you're going to press the Enter key so that you can start and identify a new layer. Our first layer is going to be object, OB, I like all caps, object line layer. Okay, object line is going to be our object lines. It's going to be the continuous line type. The color we're going to keep white, so you can keep that white, okay? It's going to be a continuous line type, but the line weight we're going to change, okay? So the line weight we're going to click on, and we're going to make it thicker, and we're going to make it 0.5 millimeters, okay? And hit OK. Then we're going to reactivate, left click on object, hit Enter, and then our next layer is going to be hatch, okay? We're going to make the hatch layer the color yellow. So the regular yellow, not the yellows up here. Okay, make it yellow. And then hit OK. Continuous line type. And then our line weight, we're going to click on it and we're going to go back to default up at the top. Okay. Click on hatch, hit enter. And our last one is going to be notes. Our color is going to be magenta. Again, regular color, not up in the fancy stuff. Bless you. And then we're going to hit OK. And then it can be continuous and default line weight. Okay. And once we have those done, we can X out of our layers. So just the 3, object, hatch, and notes. Okay. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do is I want to show my line weights. I like how I can see the difference in the line weights. So you probably don't have this on your menu at the bottom. So you're going to hit the 3 lines where it says customization in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay. You're going to left click and about 2/3 of the way down, click on line weight. Okay. And then you're going to notice that you're going to get a little, there's 3 lines. It says show or hide line weight. I'm going to click on that. Make sure that it's activated to that bluish gray color. And then now you're going to see the difference. So you've got to look down here. Mine is right about there. Okay. Where the line weight I just added. Okay. Now, why is this nice? I'll show you. When I put this on object line layer and I draw a line, my line is a lot thicker and I can see it better. Okay. I like it using it for demonstrating purposes, but I know students kind of like it too because they can see their object lines, better and more defined than other things. All right. So I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we are going to draw a frame member, a slider, a joint, and then we're going to put our link designations as well as our joint designations in here so that we have them there and we can just copy and paste them or move them around as we need to do our kinematic diagrams. So we're going to start by creating a circle. We're going to do the frame member first. So I'm going to do a circle center diameter. Okay. So you can arrow down under circle and you go center diameter. And now everything is going to be, activated by your left click. So I'm going to left click and then you're going to have this diameter. Okay. Left click diameter. And now we're going to enter in 0.75. Okay. 0.75. So it's a 3/4 inch diameter. If you want to pan, it's going to be left mouse button hold and you can pan, okay? So I'm just gonna, and then you can use your roller to zoom in and out, all right? Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw my vertical lines going down on either side of the quadrant. So I am going to draw a line. I need to put my ortho on because I want these lines to be straight up and down. So down on the bottom on your menu bar, you're going to notice that there is an ortho mode. It looks like a 90-degree angle, okay? I'm going to left click that, activate that, because now my lines are only going to be horizontal and vertical, which is what I want, okay? I don't want it to be something other than that. Now I'm going to click the line command, and when you get close to your circle, if you have your running object snaps on, which is going to be the box with the little square, okay? If you click on the downward triangle next to it, this is going to be where you have check marks, what we call the running object snaps that are always active. The ones I like to use, this might be a personal preference, I like to use endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, intersection, and then perpendicularity, okay? You can put all of them on, you can put none of them on. It's a personal preference, okay? But you'll notice that I have quadrant on. So when quadrant is on and I get close to a quadrant, I'm going to see this diamond. And I know that if I click it anytime that I see that diamond, it's going to snap to, in this case, the quadrant, okay? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to snap to the quadrant. Now, if you don't have that as your object snaps, the other thing that you can do is you can get object snaps activated. So I'm going to activate my line command again, shift right. Activate my line command, shift right mouse button, holding the shift key, then right mouse button. All of your object snaps are here as well. You might remember that from when you did AutoCAD the first time. And I am going to click on quadrant here. Now it overrides any of my running object snaps and it only focuses on quadrant, which can be kind of nice. So I'm going to get close. I'm going to get my diamond. I'm going to left click. And now I clicked to my quadrant. It's not close. It's actually the quadrant. Now I'm going to go straight down. Now, how long do I want that to be? I want that to be 0.5 inches. Okay, that's it. And then hit escape or enter to be done. Now I'm going to do another line on the other side. So I'm going to do line, quadrant, go straight down, 0.5, enter. And now I've got the lines at the same length. Okay. Now I'm going to draw a horizontal line through the endpoints of those two. So to do that, make sure that you have your your snapping reference lines on. They're going to be just to the left of the running object snaps. You want to make sure that that is activated, that grayish blue color, okay? So if you click off of it, you want to make sure that it's on. What that does is when I activate my line command, I'm going to hover over my endpoint, not clicking, hovering over, but then I'm going to move to the left. You see how I have those green dashed lines there? That means it's going to snap in line with the bottom of those lines, and that's what I want, okay? I'm going to go over to the left a little bit and then past to the right. I'm going to left click on my thing, and then I'm going to go right about there, okay? It doesn't have to be a certain distance. We're just kind of drawing it. And then I can hit escape or enter, okay? Now I'm going to trim away the bottom of my circle here. So I'm going to take my trim command, which is the scissors next to my eraser, and I'm going to hover over the part of the circle I want to get rid of. So I'm going to left click there and then hit escape or enter. So now I have kind of, if you would, the outline of my frame member, okay? So questions so far? All right. So in the middle, I'm going to put my pin connection. So I'm going to do another circle diameter. I'm going to get close to the center. And if you have to, shift right mouse button, click center so that when you get close to the center, it activates it. Okay. You're going to click on the center and we're going to make that about 0.2 diameter, 0.2, about that big. Okay. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a rectangle, okay? And that rectangle, we're going to use very temporarily. So I'm going to switch my layer to be the 0 layer. Okay. And I am going to draw a rectangle. This rectangle is going to be where I'm going to put my hatching in for the bottom of my frame. So I'm going to do my rectangle. I'm going to do the upper left-hand corner on the left-hand side of that line. And then I'm just going to go like down below. Make sure you activate the right side so that you're in line with the end of that line. And you're going to go down about 0.3 or 0.29, something like that. It doesn't have to be exact. And I'm going to left click and I've got a rectangle at the bottom here. Do you see that? I need the rectangle because to put the hatching in here, I have to have a closed like geometry. Okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my layer to hatch. Okay. Then I'm going to click the hatch function, which is just to the right of arc. Okay. Down here. I'm going to click that. And then now I get a new menu. I want to click on the solid hatch over on the left-hand side here, okay? And then that solid hatch, I want to go inside the small circle, okay, on my frame. And I'm going to left click, and I want that to be solid. And I'm going to say, okay, click the green check mark or hit enter. And I've got that in. Now I'm going to hit hatch again. So I'm still on my hatch line. I'm going to do the hatch command, but I'm going to click in the inside of that rectangle that I just created, all right? But I don't want it to be solid. I want it to be ANSI 131, okay? And you should have something that looks like what I see here, right? And then again, I can hit my green check mark to close or enter to get out of there. And now I want to, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to select that rectangle that I created because I want to get rid of it now. I only needed it for the hatching. So I'm just going to select the rectangle and I'm going to hit the delete button. And now what's left behind is the hatching is left over without a rectangle around it. I just needed that there to get it in. Okay. So now I have a standard frame looking symbol. Now I'm going to do a save. So I'm going to do a file, save as. And now you want to navigate to wherever you want to save this. So on your jump drive or something like that. If you want to use the OneDrive, let's hope for the best. So I'm going to navigate to where I want to go. Where am I going? OneDrive. I'm going to go to mechanical design. I do my OneDrive because mine is sunk. But students, sometimes it doesn't, I don't know if it doesn't work, but it's something that you have to be cognizant of making sure that it's done. And then I'm going to go to, what class are we in? We're in kinematics and machine elements. Okay. Or I mean, kinematics and basic mechanisms. Kinematics. Here. There we go. And I'm going to call this kinematic start. That's it. Okay. Kinematic start. Right. Save. And now you'll notice that up on the top here, the file name changed to kinematic start. So it's really just my start file 4. I'm going to continue to save, as I move along, but I've got my first element in place. Now, the next element that we're going to do is going to be a slider. Okay. So we're going to do that very same process. I'm going to go back to my object line layer, but I mean, you could take the hatching that's here, but I want this line to be a little bit longer than what I have on my frame number. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line, and it doesn't have to be in line with this one because we're going to use it for, other elements. And I'm going to make it longer, maybe right about here-ish. Okay, I guess I'm at about 3.5. I'm going to do 3.5. That sounds good. 3.5, and then hit escape or enter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put another 0 layer rectangle underneath here. Okay. And about, again, want it in line here, about that deep. And then I'm going to go to my hatch layer, hatch on the inside here. And it's going to remember the last hatching that we did. And that looks good because I want the ANSI 131 or the ANSI 31. And then, okay. And then I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to select that rectangle and I'm going to get rid of it. Okay. Because I don't want that rectangle around there. Then I'm going to put my rectangle for the slider on top here. So I'm going to switch back to my object line layer. I'm going to go to my rectangle command. Okay. And I'm going to go, I don't know, right about here-ish. And then this one is going to want to go to the endpoint of your line. So you need to do shift right mouse button, go nearest, which is down towards the bottom. Okay, nearest. And now all we want to do is we want to make it about an inch long, about an inch long. Okay, and then I can hit enter. And it can be anywhere along that line. Oh no, why is it lower? Hold on. I thought I was on the line. Sorry. Let me do mine again. Shift nearest. I thought I was on there. Here we go. There we go. Better. Okay. So that's my rectangle so far. Now I need to add a pin connection at the very center of my rectangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw two lines. I'm going to draw, I'm going to turn off my ortho. I'm going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner, and then another diagonal line from corner to corner, so that the intersection there is going to be where I'm going to put my pin connection, the circle for my pin connection. Okay, so we're going to delete those diagonal lines in just a bit. But then once I get those in place, I'm going to do a circle center diameter. I'm going to find the intersection here, and I am going to put a 0.2 diameter circle. Okay. And then now I'm going to delete these two lines. So I'm going to do erase, select, and select, and then enter. Okay. Then I'm going to put my solid hatch on the inside of that circle I just created. So I'm going to change my layer to hatch. I'm going to hatch, solid, and select on the inside of that circle, and then hit enter or the green check mark. And now I've got my slider. So I'm going to do a file save because I already have it called Kinematics Start. The next element that I'm going to draw, or I'm going to add, is going to be just a pin connection. And all that is going to be is copying either the one on the frame or the one on the slider to be in the middle here. So I'm going to do the copy command, which is down below the move command. Okay, copy is right here. Click on copy. And I'm going to left click and left click. Don't left click and drag, otherwise it makes that weird box. But you want to do an actual box and select one of those. Hit enter. And now my base position, you're just going to go from one to the other. Left click, and then escape to be done. I just want this one out here so that whenever I have a pin connection, I can just copy it to where it needs to go. Okay. Another save, right? And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my labels. Okay. So I'm going to go to the notes layer. Okay. And I'm going to click on an arrow down to multi-line text. So you're going to arrow down on text here underneath that A, and we're going to do multi-line text. Click. Now I'm going to left click and just kind of go a box down and to the right. Okay. And then it's going to create this text editing box. And I'm just going to do the number 1. Okay. That's it. Number 1. And then you're going to click on the outside. If you hit enter, it's going to add another line. Just click on the outside. Now I want this to be just a little bit bigger. So to do that, I am going to use the scale function. The scale function is on the bottom line in the modify command in the middle here. All right. I'm going to click on scale and I'm going to select that number 1. Okay. And hit enter. And then now it's going to ask me for a base position. I'm just going to click on the lower left-hand corner here. And if I move up and to the right, do you see how my number 1 is getting larger? I want it to be about that big. So about 1.5 times larger-ish. Okay. Right about there. And now that'll be a good size for what I have. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a circle around this. I'm going to do a circle center radius. Okay. And then I'm going to click in the middle of my one, as close to the middle as possible. And I'm going to put a circle around it about like that. There you go. Okay. Now I'm going to copy this 3 times. So I'm going to use my copy command, and I'm going to copy the 1 and the circle, both of them. Hit enter, and I'm going to put my ortho on, and it's going to say, where is your base position? I'm just going to pick a point, and then I'm going to go to the right, and then I'm going to go to the right, and I'm going to go to the right, and I'm going to have a total of 4 ones with circles around them. Okay. A lot of the mechanisms we look at are going to be 4 links. Okay, that's why I'm doing 4. So now I'm going to go on the end. I'm going to double click on my number 1 of my second number 1. I'm going to backspace and I'm going to call it 2. And I'm going to left click on the outside of that. Double click on the next one, backspace 3. And double click on the last one, backspace 4. And then left click on the outside. Okay, so these are my link designations. Okay. We'll do a quick save. All right. The last thing I need to do is do my letter designations for my joints. So I'm going to copy 1, 2, 3, and 4, the numbers only, not the circles. Hit enter. My base position is going to be down, and then vertically, I'm going to go straight up above. And then I'm just going to do 1 copy of those and hit escape. I'm going to change my number 1 to A, capital letter A. I'm going to change my number 2, double click on it to B, left click outside. Number 3 is going to be C, left click. And number 4 is going to be D. Okay. I'm going to add 2 more. So I'm going to take my D and I'm going to copy D twice. D, that's going to be here and here. And those 2, I'm going to make an X and a Y, all right, for my special interest points. And then if I end up needing them, they're there. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So then now I'm going to do a final save. And this is my Kinematics start file. Okay. So every time you create a diagram, whether it's an example or if it's an assignment, okay, you're going to pull up this Kinematics start file, and right away you're going to rename it, whatever you want to call it, and then you can start maneuvering things around, whether it's copying, moving, whatever it might be. And now you don't have to redraw the frame, the sliders, the joints, and all of the you know, call outs.